Step right up. Watch the step. Remain standing and face the front.
Thank you very much. Do you solemnly swear the understand the court and jury in the case down here to the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Ooh.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name?
Matthew McCabe, McCabe.
And where do you live, sir?
Canton, Massachusetts.
And you have 4 daughters, is that right?
That's correct.
And how old are you?
I'm 49.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, my daughters?
That's okay. What do you do for work?
I work for a information technology solutions firm.
And how long have you been doing that?
2009. So I think I'm coming on 15 years.
And does your wife work?
No. After dropping my daughters off, my wife and I proceeded to the Waterfall in Canton Center.
Do you recall what kind of vehicle it was or whose vehicle it was?
It was the family vehicle. It was my wife's vehicle. I don't know, what was it? I don't know if it was a Suburban or a Yukon. I forget which one, what brand it was.
Some kind of SUV? Is it?
Yes, a large SUV. We went to the Waterfall. My wife informed me that her sister was at the Waterfall with her niece and a few other people, and we went to go meet them. My understanding, it was my nephew's birthday, either that day or the day after, and they were going to meet out at the Waterfall for his birthday.
And just to be clear, as far as who we're talking about, your wife's sister, what's her name?
Nicole Albert.
And is Nicole married?
Yes, she is.
And what's her husband's name?
Brian Albert.
And the niece that you're talking about that was out there with your sister-in-law, what's her name?
Her name is Caitlin Albert.
And the nephew of yours whose birthday it was or was going to be, what's his name?
His name is Brian as well.
So essentially Brian Albert Jr., he's not.
Yes, I believe he's a junior, yes.
Despite it being sort of your wife's car, was your phone hooked up to the speakers? Did you have a Bluetooth or anything like that?
I don't know if I connected mine to the Bluetooth or not. I don't recall if I was connected to the Bluetooth or not. I know my phone connects, so possibly. I don't know for sure if it was 100% connected that evening.
Now, with respect to it being your wife's car, is there, when both of you are in the car, is there sort of a default as to which of your phones would connect to the Bluetooth, yours versus hers?
If look at it that way, it would be my wife's because it was her car.
So the car would probably recognize her device over your device, correct?
That is correct.
Now,
Actually, I started the call definitely on my phone because my kids were in. I was on the call for a while, so I think I had my kids still in the car when I was dropping them off. So I wouldn't have them listening to the call. So I must have been on, again, I don't remember, but I must have been listening on my, holding it in my hand. Yeah, everybody at the table, to my recollection, was drinking.
and do you recall specifically what you were drinking on that night?
I do.
And what were you drinking?
I was drinking vodka with water and a splash of Crystal Light.
And is that something that you would normally drink?
No.
And why were you drinking that on that?
I was in a diet competition with other people in the town, so I was trying to stay away from any beer, which would be what I typically would drink.
And Christopher Albert and Brian Albert, they're brothers, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
And Christopher Albert's wife is Julie Albert, is that correct?
Yes.
And she is also friends with your wife, Jennifer McCabe, correct?
Yes.
And been so for years, as far as you know?
As far as I know, yes, they've been friends for years.
Now, you mentioned someone by the name of Brian Higgins. Did you know Brian Higgins prior to that evening?
Yes.
And how did you know him?
I had met Brian a few times, social settings. I recall meeting him at the Junction one evening. I believe I met him at a graduation party. I don't know how many times I met Brian, but I met him maybe 3, 4 times. I don't know exactly how many. So I knew who he was.
You knew who he was as far as he was friends or friendly with your brother-in-law, Brian Albert, correct?
Yes.
And that's how you knew him, was through Brian Albert?
Yes.
With regard to Mr. O'Keefe first, how was it that you knew Mr. O'Keefe?
I've met John O'Keefe when he started to be the caretaker for his niece and nephew after their parents had passed.
When you met Mr. O'Keefe, is that when you were living at the house on Sutcliffe?
Yes.
And where was that house in relation to where Mr. O'Keefe initially lived with his niece and nephew?
A couple hundred yards. 2 different streets. It was a neighborhood with multiple streets. My house was on Sutcliffe. Drive down Sutcliffe, maybe pass 1, 2, 3, 4 houses. Took a right, and that was John. That was the street that the kids lived on, maybe 4 houses up on the right.
About this time that John had moved in this house close to the house you were living on Sutcliffe, about how old was your daughter and his niece Kaylee?
Ooh. I believe it was kindergarten. How old would you be in kindergarten? 7? I don't know.
I think kindergarten's flexible, so
Okay.
fair to say. And Kaylee in particular, was she, how close was she with your wife Jennifer?
Kaylee was close with Jen. Kaylee was mature, well beyond the other girls in regards to just, she was bright.
As far as Mr. O'Keefe was concerned, do you recall anything about what he was wearing that night?
I recall a baseball cap, and he tends to brim it over a little bit, and shirt and jeans. I don't know exactly what he was wearing.
Do you recall seeing him at any point in time with any kind of winter coat or heavy coat or anything like that?
Not that I recall.
With respect to Ms. Reed, what, if any, conversations you recall in regard to her?
Normal conversation. She, hi, how you doing? Good to see you. She made a reference to myself asking how Jen and I do it. And I said, she was talking about with the 4 girls. How do we do it? How do you raise the 4 girls? You guys look happy. And I actually joked to her. I said, well, we're at a bar.
What, if any, other discussion, other than going to your brother-in-law Brian Albert's house,
Oh.
was there at the table in regard to places to go after?
Yes. There was discussion about going to D&E Pizza. That's a pizza sub shop that Chris Albert owns in Canton Center, which is, 100 yards, whatever, across the street from the Waterfall.
And can you describe sort of what was the substance of that discussion and who was involved in that discussion?
Yes, the discussion is we've done that in the past, where we've wrapped up for the night. We've gone over there and turned the ovens on and have made some pizza. In this particular instance, Karen had asked if we could do that. She wanted to go to D&E. She wanted to make pizza. Chris and I were adamant that we were not going to D&E because we were on this diet and we were not going to go subject ourselves to late night pizza. So we said no, we're not going to D&E. Though we had conversations. Karen wanted to go, but we kept saying no, we're not going to go.
When you say you kept saying, is that something that the defendant raised once or more than once?
More than once.
Now, about how far a drive is it, how long a drive is it, roughly from the Waterfall to 34 Fairview?
The way I would go, 4 minutes, give or take, 5 minutes. There's multiple ways, but depends on how you go, I guess.
the way that you go, as far as what you're talking about, is that your recollection of how or where your wife drove that night?
Yes. When we entered the house, we observed Caitlin, Brian Jr. Brian had two friends there, Julie Nagel and Sarah Levinson, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert Sr.
And where in
Did
the
I say
house-
Nicole? Nicole, I don't know if I said Nicole.
And do you recall sort of what you were doing while you were at the house, or what the group was doing?
It kind of hanging out, talking, sitting around the table, engaging. Music was on, just having a good time, just hanging out, talking, enjoying each other's company. I do recall my wife put on a foolish video that she wanted to show the kids at the table. But other than that, just socially hanging out with each other.
The foolish video that you're talking about, do you recall what that was?
Yes.
And can you describe that to the jury?
It was a video for the song It's Raining Men.
And do you recall, generally speaking, what was in the video, or why it was a foolish video as you described it?
Well, it's in the family, it's one of Jen's sisters had put on a show before with an umbrella. So at some point, my wife came across this video, and it was people just dancing around. So she was showing my niece and my nephew and friends the video so they could see, we're kind of picking on my sister-in-law.
You mentioned that earlier at the Waterfall, there was Christopher and Julie Albert, is that right?
Yes.
Familiar with them, your wife is friends with Julie, correct?
Yes.
And you know their children as well, is that right?
Yes, I do.
And specifically, you know their middle child, Colin?
Yes.
And at any point in time in the evening when you were there at 34 Fairview Road, was Colin Albert there at any point?
No, he was not.
You didn't see him that night at all?
Never saw him.
And obviously, you know your daughter, your oldest daughter, Allie, correct?
Yes, I do.
And at any point in time when you were at 34 Fairview, did you see her or vehicle or anything? Did you have any knowledge that your daughter, Allie, was there at the time that you were there?
No, she was not.
She wasn't there, you didn't see her there, you didn't know if she had been there before you or anything like that?
Correct. Correct.
Now, turning back, at any point in time over the course of that evening, did you see anybody sort of go upstairs or downstairs to the basement or anywhere else but that general area of those three rooms in the home?
I did not see anybody.
Now, at some point, you mentioned that Julie Nagel was looking outside for something, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
How long was that in reference to after you arrived and then when that happened?
Again, I don't know the exact time. I'm going to say could have been 3 minutes, could have been 5 minutes, somewhere in that vicinity. We arrived, said hello, good to see everybody, and shortly after, she had mentioned that her brother was there to pick her up.
Now, as far as the Levinson and Miss Nagel, they were friends of your nephew Brian Albert Jr., is that right?
That's correct.
And did you know them at all at that time, when you arrived there on the 28th?
Miss Levinson, I did not know. First time I met her. I definitely had met Julie before. She had, Brian and her hang out. So I definitely met her. I think she's been to I don't know if it was previous to this or after this, but Julie has, helped my my nephew Brian, when we go on vacation. We have a dog, and Brian would usually be the go-to to, let the dog out, etc. And I know Julie has helped him. I just don't know if that was previous to that or after. But I definitely had met Julie before, yes.
So you had met her before, but essentially met her as a friend of your nephew's, correct?
Yes,
Not someone that you knew particularly well, is that fair to say?
correct. Didn't know her well. Julie looked out or went out through that door. I either looked out the window or walked over to the front door, which would be the opposite door. I noticed the big SUV parked in front of the house.
From either the window or the door. Where was the dark SUV in relation to the house?
If you came out that front door, pretty much right in front, right in front of the house, parked in front of the house. There was another vehicle, again, coming out the front door. If you go to the left, there's a driveway. There was another vehicle over there. I don't know if it was on the street facing this way, if it was pulled in. I just looked out the front door and noticed the car to be like, oh, that's John. That was my focus. I didn't look for Julie.
Now, as far as the other vehicle, did you observe at least enough to know whether or not it was behind the dark SUV, in front of the dark SUV, or something else?
Yeah, it was to the left. It was equivalent to where the driveway was. And then after the end of the driveway, there was a Jeep. And after the Jeep was the SUV, the dark SUV.
Now, after you look out this initial time and you see this dark SUV sort of right in front of the door, was that the only time that you looked out, or did you look out on subsequent occasions?
Nope. I looked out again because it'd been a few minutes. Again, 2, 3, 4 minutes. I'm not sure how long, but it'd been a few minutes, and we thought it was weird they hadn't come into the house. Looked out and saw the SUV again.
When you looked out for the second time, where was the SUV in relation to where it was the first time?
The SUV had moved up the road from the front of the house. It went from spot A to spot B. Now it was further up, more in sync of where the again the flagpole, the utility box, more in sync with that. It had moved up the road. Thought it was weird that they hadn't come in.
Now, as far as the times that you're looking out, did you happen to make any note of sort of, let me ask you this, taking it back to the waterfall just for a second. When you were driving, or your wife was driving from the waterfall to 34 Fairview, what, if anything, did you observe as far as what was the weather doing?
The snow had started to fall.
And at that initial time that you're going from the waterfall to Fairview Roads, was it sticking to the pavement or anything at that point?
I believe there was a dusting.
Distance between the second time that you saw it and the third time that you saw it, do you have any idea about how much distance that was, or how many feet?
Hey, I'd be guessing 30, 40 feet. I don't know. I have no idea. I'd have to measure it.
Now, with respect to the snow that had fallen on the ground, as far as the vehicle was concerned, it moves from one point to the second point to the third point. Do you observe any sort of tire marks or anything in the snow out on the road when you looked out?
Yes, I did.
And the tire marks that you observed, did they essentially lead up to the back tires of the dark SUV that you saw out there?
At some point, when I looked out and noticed tire marks that would have started before the Jeep. So if the Jeep was here, it's just a weird, like a wave. It was a weird wave in the road. You could see the tire marks.
And was that before or after? So at some point, Ms. Nagel goes out to some other vehicle and then comes back inside the house, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you know about how long she was outside of the house for?
I'd be guessing a minute. I'm not sure.
Not terribly long time.
No, not at all.
And so the time that you observed this sort of abnormality in the tire marks that you see out there, was that before or after she had come back inside the house?
That would have been after.
So you don't know if that was from dark SUV or whatever vehicle she had met. You have no idea.
Objection.
Can you answer that? Well, the form of the question, it's sustained.
Do you know which vehicle left those abnormal tire marks?
Based off of where the tire marks were, they came off the curb, my assumption was it was the SUV.
I withdraw.
Okay,
I heard the answer.
okay.
But you don't know, correct?
No, I didn't see no.
And that was my next point. As far as when you saw the vehicle, as far as each of those 3 times, it was stationary each time you saw it, correct?
The first 2 times, definitely stationary. The third time looked stationary. If it was going a half mile per hour, I'm not sure, but it was further up the road. It looked to me it was stationary, but like I said, if for some reason it was moving, it could have been moving. But
Now, each time that you saw the vehicle, was it in the same sort of position with respect to the house? By that I mean, as far as was it on the Alberts, was it on the 34 Fairview side of the road or the other side, or where was it positioned with respect to the road?
Yes, same position, parked parallel to the Alberts house, heading forward as if you were going to leave Fairview to head up to Chapman Street, heading away from the house.
So each time that you observed the vehicle, you were looking at sort of the passenger side of that vehicle, correct?
That is correct.
And at any point in time, either of these three occasions that you observed the vehicle, did you see anybody outside of it?
I did not.
Did you see any footprints around the vehicle or leading away from the vehicle or across the yard or anything like that?
I did not.
And did you, were you able to see inside of the vehicle from where you were, either from the window or from the storm door or the front door?
I could not, or I did not see anything inside.
And further to that point, at any point in time that you observed this vehicle in front of the house, you see any sort of interior lights on inside the vehicle?
Not that I noticed. My wife was trying to communicate with John, let him know that let him know he's here. So,
I'm gonna let that stand.
And at any point, do you know whether or not Mr. O'Keefe communicated back to Ms. McCabe while they were out front of the house?
Objection.
Do you know? Not how you know, but do you know?
do I know if Mr. O'Keefe communicated back to Jen? Is that the question?
That's my question.
No.
No, she did not, or no, you don't know?
Oh, no, sorry, no, she did not, sorry.
I'll strike that.
I'm in the driver's seat, my wife is in the passenger seat, and Julie and Sarah are in the seats directly behind us.
Do you recall who was seated where?
I don't recall who was in what seat.
And you back out of the driveway and then you recall where you were going or who you were dropping off first?
Yes, I back out of the driveway and proceed, heading up towards Chapman Street.
And so with the passenger side of the wife's vehicle, would that be facing closest to the 34 Fairview at the time that you're driving away from it?
Yes, that's correct.
And your testimony as far as the storm picking up a little bit, do you recall anything you had to clear off the car, windshield wipers on, or anything like that?
Yes, I brushed the car off. I had to wipe the car off with my hand and clean off the windows before I pulled out of the driveway. And then obviously setting the windshield wipers as I was driving away.
Was there any conversation or music playing or anything like that in the car as you're driving away?
Yeah, it was chitter chatter. You know, my wife was turned towards me, like turned in, talking to the girls behind me. I know at one point somebody was joking about, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something. Something about bread. I forget what it was. I got home, give or take, somewhere between after 2:10, 2:15-ish. I don't know the exact time, but somewhere in that vicinity. Well, first went in the kitchen. When we walked in, my wife proceeded upstairs before I did. I was in the kitchen for a few minutes and then went upstairs and went to bed. She might have already been laying in bed before I physically got in the bed.
Turning your attention to the morning of the 29th. The morning of the 29th. You woke up at some point, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And what, if anything, do you recall? Or what woke you up at?
I woke up to screams in my bedroom.
May we approach this briefly?
Okay. So we will send you home. Please make sure you follow those 3 cautions.
All rise for the court, please.
All right, Mr. Lally, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And at some point you woke up on the later in the morning on the 29th, correct?
Yes, Saturday morning.
And do you recall, sir, what awoke you on that morning?
Yes, I do.
What was that, sir?
I awoke to the screaming of, "Jen, Jen, Jen." So when I woke up, I thought there was somebody in my bedroom. I kind of snapped up out of bed. What the hell's going on? looking around the room, realized my wife was actually on the phone.
And the screaming that you heard, how loud was it?
It was loud enough to wake me up from a dead sleep. I could hear it. It was loud. Obviously, I was laying in bed and realizing after my wife was laying right next to me on the phone. But it was a loud, Jen, Jen, Jen. It was repetitive.
Do you know approximately what time that was?
Yeah, shortly before 5 a.m. So I asked my wife, what the hell is going on? After I woke up and popped up, looking around the room to find out who's in my bedroom, assuming it was a kid, one of my kids screaming. I asked my wife, what is going on? And I could hear her saying, I'm on the phone with Karen. She can't find John.
That conversation continued while you were in your bedroom, is that correct?
Yeah, that conversation continued for a couple minutes. I could hear the dialogue, and then again, right back to Jen, 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 the repeating of my wife's name again.
As far as
The next time I spoke to my wife was an hour later. She indicated they found John and at Fairview. I proceeded to finish getting dressed and drove over to Fairview. I proceeded on to Fairview and I parked the car along the side of the road, but there was another vehicle right on the side of the road as well. It ended up being Kerry Roberts' vehicle, was parked as I was at the driveway. Ford Explorer, I think it was.
And again, without any reference to the content of the conversation, did you have any conversation with Ms. Roberts at that time?
Yes, I did.
Did you know Ms. Roberts at that time?
I knew who she was. Didn't really have a relationship with her, but I knew who she was.
And how did you know who she was?
Friends through the town.
Have a moment, Ron?
Sure.
Briefly, sir. So, describing your wife's demeanor, you described her to sort of be in shock. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, have you seen your wife display that kind of demeanor before, or have you seen your wife in sort of crisis mode over the course of your relationship and your marriage?
I've seen her in crisis mode. I would call it crisis mode as well in the past.
And sort of typically, how would you describe how she handles situations like that, or what her demeanor is in those types of situations?
She is very calm. Very calm.
And when, just so it's clear for the jury, so when you're talking about sort of prior incidents in regard to sort of crisis modes, what types of scenarios or what types of incidents are we talking about?
Well,
Previous deaths of my parents, my brother. She's the one that can get in the room, sit, relax, hold their hand, make them feel comfortable. She's much more. I can't do that. She's much more. So she's done that with my family, and she's also done that with our neighbor.
Nothing further. Thank you, sir.
all right, Ms. Giannetti?
Thank you, Ron.
I don't wanna wait for my lunch to get colder. Why can't I eat it now? I don't wanna wait for the new Toyota. I want the car that's got a lot of gas.